A random Tuesday morning. You're driving to work, coffee in the cup holder, radio on, mind already racing through the day. Then clunk, a strange noise. The dashboard lights up, the engine starts shaking, and just like that, your normal Tuesday is over. You pull into a mechanic's shop, already bracing for bad news. Then the number lands. $600. Not $6,000, not $60,000, just $600. And for millions of Americans, that number is enough to throw their entire life off course. That's the part people don't talk about. Because for some people, a car repair is annoying. For others, it is a full-blown financial emergency. And here's the shocking part. According to Federal Reserve data, roughly 1 in 3 Americans would struggle to cover even a $400 emergency with cash or its equivalent. Think about that. If you have $400 set aside right now, just sitting in savings, you are already in a stronger position than millions of people around you. Same country, same economy, completely different level of financial safety. That is the $400 trap. It is not just about being short on money. It's about living in a state where one small surprise becomes a crisis, and one crisis pushes you into debt, and that debt keeps you too weak to prepare for the next surprise. That is how people stay stuck. Not because they are lazy, not because they are stupid, not because they never work hard, but because they are one unexpected Tuesday away from falling behind again. And today, we are breaking that whole system down. Why does this tiny number keep so many people trapped? Why does one car repair become a months-long setback? And most important, how do you build a financial shield so that the next emergency does not get to control your life? Because this is not just about $400. It's about freedom. It's about breathing room. It's about never letting a breakdown become a disaster again. So, let's start where the trap actually begins. Why $400? Why does that number show up again and again? Because life is expensive in exactly the wrong way. Emergencies are rarely massive movie-style disasters. Usually they're smaller than that. A tire blows out. The battery dies. The dog needs a vet visit. The water heater quits. The car needs work right before rent is due. That is real life. And real life does not care whether your checking account is ready. Now here's where the trap snaps shut. If you do not have cash, you still have to solve the problem. You still need the car. You still need the repair. You still need to get to work tomorrow. So what do most people do? They reach for the credit card. And in the moment, it feels like a solution. Problem solved, crisis avoided, back on the road. But no. That was not the end of the emergency. That was the beginning of the second emergency. Because now you're not paying $600. Now you're paying $600 plus interest. And not gentle interest. 20%, 25%, sometimes more. So that $600 repair starts turning into $700, $800, maybe $1,000 over time. And while you're trying to dig out from that debt, life keeps happening. That's the trap. The emergency drains you, the debt weakens you, and the weakened position guarantees the next emergency hits even harder. Read that again in your mind. The emergency is expensive, but being unprepared is even more expensive. And this is why the $400 number matters so much. It's not a number, it's a line. On one side of that line, an unexpected bill is frustrating. On the other side, it's destabilizing. And once you live below that line long enough, stress becomes normal. You start making decisions from survival mode, short-term decisions, high-interest decisions, panic decisions, and survival mode is expensive. Now, let's clear up a myth. This is not only about income. Yes, earning more helps. Of course it does. But plenty of people with decent incomes are still financially fragile. Why? Because financial security is not just about what comes in. It's about what stays. It's about what leaks. And that's where most people lose the game without even realizing it. So, let's talk about the invisible leaks, because this is where it gets uncomfortable. Most people don't go broke in one dramatic moment. They go broke slowly, quietly, conveniently, one habit at a time, one swipe at a time, one little it's only decision at a time. That's how the tank gets emptied, not with a giant hole, with 100 tiny leaks. Take smoking, for example. At around $7 a pack, one pack a day can run over $200 a month. That's over $2,000 a year. Pause on that. That's not just a habit. That's an emergency fund disappearing in plain sight. That's the $400 trap repeated 6 times over. Now, maybe smoking isn't your thing. Fine. Then maybe it's food delivery. Maybe it's drive-through breakfasts. Maybe it's 3 subscription services you barely use. Maybe it's late-night impulse shopping because you had a rough day and wanted a quick dopamine hit. Different leak, same result. Money leaves, security disappears. And here's the dangerous part. Most leaks don't feel serious in the moment. That's why they win. Nobody says, I'm choosing short-term comfort over long-term stability. They say, it's just $20. But just $20 repeated over and over again is exactly how people stay trapped. And then there's the eating out drain. This one gets people fast. A $50 dinner doesn't feel outrageous once, even twice doesn't feel outrageous. But 3 or 4 times a week, now you're burning hundreds of dollars every month while telling yourself you can't afford to save. That's not a math problem, that's a priority problem. Temporary taste over permanent peace. And if that sounds harsh, good, because soft language is one reason people stay stuck.
Now let's go one level deeper. There is a leak even more dangerous than bad habits. It is called comparison. And comparison is financially lethal because once you start trying to look successful, you start making expensive decisions for cheap approval. A nicer car than you can afford, designer labels on a stressed out budget, weekend spending to keep up with people who are probably broke too. That is how the comparison trap works. You spend money to create an image while your actual financial foundation gets weaker and weaker. As Dave Ramsey famously put it, people buy things they do not need with money they do not have to impress people they don't even like. And that line hits because it is true. Nothing drains wealth faster than trying to look rich before you are secure. Nice things are not the problem. Fake affordability is the problem. If your lifestyle is built on appearances instead of cash flow, eventually the bill comes due. So if your bank account feels empty all the time, ask a better question. Not why am I always broke? Ask where are my leaks? Because until you find the leaks, earning more money will not save you. It'll just give your bad habits a bigger budget. Now let's talk about debt, because this is where a lot of people get confused. Not all debt is equal. And if you want to escape the trap, you need to know the difference between debt that builds and debt that bleeds. Good debt helps you make money. Bad debt helps you look like you have money. That's the simplest way to think about it. Good debt is tied to an asset that can produce income, grow in value, or improve your long-term financial position. Bad debt is borrowing for things that lose value fast and give you no return. Clothes, vacations, furniture you couldn't really afford, and yes, cars. Now, before anyone gets offended, let's be honest. A car can be necessary, but financing more car than you can afford is where the problem starts. Because now you're borrowing money for an asset that starts dropping in value the second you buy it. Think about how crazy that is. You're paying interest for the privilege of owning something that is becoming less valuable every single day. That's not leverage, that's financial drag. And millions of people are carrying car payments, credit card balances, and personal loans all at the same time while wondering why they never get ahead. Because the money is not working for them, it's working against them. There's a saying in finance, rich people earn interest, poor people pay it. That's blunt, but it's real. And the question is not whether that statement sounds harsh. The question is, which side of that equation are you on right now? Because once you see that clearly, you can start changing it. So let's do that. Let's talk about the blueprint. Because if you're feeling stuck, I want you to hear this clearly. Being broke is not a permanent identity. It's usually the result of repeated decisions. And that means freedom can also come from repeated decisions. Better ones, smarter ones, intentional ones. You don't fix this overnight, but you can absolutely start fixing it today. Step 1. Set a defined finish line. This matters more than people think, because vague goals create vague behavior. I want to be better with money is not a goal. I want to save $400 in the next 60 days is a goal. I want a $1,000 emergency fund in 6 months is a goal. A real goal gives your money a mission. And when money has a mission, spending starts to feel different. Impulse gets weaker, purpose gets stronger. You stop asking, "Can I buy this?" and start asking, "Does this move me closer to safety or farther away from it?" That's a huge shift. Step 2. Face the spreadsheet. Yes, the spreadsheet. Yes, the budget. Yes, the numbers you've been avoiding. Because if you don't track your money will disappear in places you never intended. And then at the end of the month, you'll say the same thing people always say. I make money, so where did it go? A budget answers that question before the month begins. And contrary to what people think, budgeting is not punishment. Budgeting is permission. It's you telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. You can still enjoy life. You can still have fun. You can still spend on what matters to you. But now you do it on purpose. That's power. Step 3. Pay yourself first. This is the move that changes everything. Most people save whatever's left over at the end of the month. And that sounds reasonable until you realize there's never anything left over. Because if money sits in your checking account, life will spend it for you. So flip the order. Save first. Invest first. Automate first. Even if it starts small, $25 a week, $50 a paycheck, $100 a month, start. Because automation removes the drama. It removes the debate. It removes the monthly decision fatigue. And most important, it helps you build stability without needing perfect discipline every single day. That's how real progress happens, quietly, automatically, consistently, not with one heroic month, with systems. Now imagine this. The next time life throws a surprise at you, a flat tire, a medical bill, a broken appliance, you don't panic. You don't reach for the credit card. You don't feel your stomach drop. You just pay for it and move on. That's what an emergency fund really buys you. Not just money in an account, peace, control, time, breathing room. And that's worth far more than $400. So here's the bottom line. The $400 trap is real, but it's not a life sentence. It's a warning sign, a signal that your financial foundation needs to be rebuilt. And the good news? You can rebuild it by cutting the habits that drain you, by refusing to perform wealth for strangers, by understanding the difference between debt that helps and debt that hurts, by setting a target, following a plan, and paying yourself first. You don't need to be a genius to win with money. You don't need a 7-figure income. You don't need perfect timing. You just need a decision, a real one. The decision that your future matters. The decision that your peace matters. The decision that you are worth more than living one disaster away from falling apart. So start this week, not next month, not after the holidays, not after you get a raise, this week. Cut one expensive habit. Save the first $50, then the first $100, then the first $400. Build the buffer. Build the confidence. Build the life where a random Tuesday no longer has the power to break you. And when that happens, everything changes. If this hit home, drop a comment and tell me the one expense you're cutting this week to start your emergency fund. And if you want more practical money strategies, smarter money habits, and real blueprints for financial freedom, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.